I'll tell you what, I've the thought of another game. We can put Carl's into theory, right? I can tell him a sort of like a person or, you know, a people or a place, right? Or a profession, and he's got to come up with a good and bad.
A good and bad thing.
It is dicing with death.
Yeah.
Are we ready to do this?
Well, listen, if we're quitting in the next couple of weeks, then who cares?
Okay. Good and bad, right?
Well, hang on, whoa, let me just tell them, we're on the prizes here.
Alright, okay.
So now 55. I know there's a lot of XFM listeners who are going to be looking forward to the likes of S Club 8 and the Fast Food Rockers. They're all on there.
I can't wait. What is their second single going to be about?
The Smashing Pumpkins. This is quite a good little compilation of sort of B-sides and live performances and stuff like that, which is not bad. The best summer holiday album in the world ever. I think we've given that away in the past. All sorts of stuff on there. Plus the director's cut of True Romance on DVD. The Tarantino scripted.
Oh, it's a great film.
Tony Scott directed movie.
Oh.
So there's some quite good prizes. Just play it once more.
So email in ricky.gervais@xfm.co.uk.
Why don't they play the game of swing ball?
Just the artist, yeah. That's all we're after.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Right.
Tell me why, tell me why, tell me why. Don't play the game of swing ball.
Very tricky.
Brilliant.
Very
that is
tricky.
brilliant.
All right. Bung the song on. I'll bung the song on now.
What?
Let's put a song on. Bit of Pharrell Williams.
Yes.
Good and bad. Good and bad. Old people. Darkness. I believe in a thing called Love on XFM 104.9. Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant, Karl Pilkington. Karl set the ball rolling with songs of phrase. Why don't they play swing ball? Referring, of course, to people in wheelchairs who play tennis, because he was disappointed they weren't getting around the court quickly enough. So why didn't they play swing ball?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Someone just emailed in saying because if they hit it to the top, they wouldn't be able to reach it to unravel it.
Exactly.
Which is a good point.
Yeah.
But I mean, nonetheless, good and bad in people in wheelchairs? Do you want to do that? Good and bad. Good and bad things about people in wheelchairs.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
Suppose. Dunno, really. They take up less room in cinemas. They've got their own seat.
Good.
That's good, is it?
That's a good thing.
Yeah, good. Yeah, well done. Well done.
And what's bad?
Dunno, I'll have to think about it.
Okay.
But, well, let's leave that, eh?
You started it. The hate list. Can I just return your minds to the hate list? I said on the hour that we would give you basically the top 5. Now, we have to stress, this is the top 5 most hated people that you, the XFM listeners, have suggested to us. We have not massaged these.
No.
We have not made these up. These are coming from you. Last week we began it. This week you've continued to email. So this is the list. We do not endorse this list. Some of them we may agree with, some of them maybe not, but it's the list that you have come up with. We are merely the messengers.
I tell you who was coming through recently. Cameron, but he didn't make the top 5.
I'm afraid he was just a late
Williams
entrant.
dropped out of the top 5.
Robbie Williams surprisingly dropped out of the top 5.
Yeah.
So let me tell you now, in no particular order, this is the top 5 that you're voting for.
Well, I say XFM listeners, people who listen to this show. I mean, XFM listeners aren't typical radio listeners, and I think our listeners aren't typical XFM listeners.
Right.
So, I don't know what this poll, what it's worth. What any poll's worth, but I mean, this one is probably worth very little.
I don't know why it's sort of worth less.
Yeah, go on then, who's the top 5 in no particular order?
We want you, the listener, to then just vote, email in with the one name that you hate the most, and then from this list, we can clear out the number 1.
Okay.
But this is in no particular order. Chris Tarrant.
Yeah.
Surprising entrant. Davina McCall.
Well, I don't think he's that surprising.
Well, anyway,
I mean,
I'm not going to editorialise.
No, I'm not saying, I'm saying I imagine XFM listeners pretty much despise someone like Chris Tarrant.
Okay, well anyway, Chris Tarrant's on there, Davina McCall,
Yeah.
Patrick Kilty,
Right.
Graham Norton,
Right.
and Chris Moyles. Now, I'm not going to say anything. Those are the names that you have drawn up. There are lots of others that didn't make the top 5. Richard Madeley was on there, Michael Flatley, Vorderman, bizarrely.
Michael Flatley's a weird one.
Very strange. So Jamie Oliver, a lot of votes for him, but he's not made the top 5. So those are the top 5. Just email in with the number 1 that you hate. And we're talking about someone
another pointless, inane poll.
Exactly.
And this time we did it. Oh, dear.
Moyles, Norton, Kilty, McCall, Tarrant. It's your choice.
Who would you have
Ricky
on this?
Gervais.
Who would you have in your list, Carl? You're allowed to talk because people know your opinions don't matter. So, what?
I honestly don't really hate anyone.
That's
that
nice.
much. I'm not that fussed. Do you know what I mean?
We're
I
not
don't
talking so
like
much
them.
about hate. We're talking about someone that.
Yeah, we
annoys
don't mean
you. Someone that-
hate. You can't hate any of these people. All they've done was pop them up on telly. But I think it's people who, as one listener, she put it. She sort of, I think she had some of those, and she said, you know, I don't hate them. These are the people that if they pop on my telly, I have to turn over. You know what I mean? It's not. You don't hate them. You know.
But sometimes it's not their fault. It's like Davina, right? I used to quite fancy her, and now because she's always on the telly, it's like I can't be dealing with her now.
Sure.
But
Right.
she's still the same presenter. It's
Yeah.
just that I'm bored with it.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not getting involved in it.
Okay.
Do you know what I
Okay.
mean? Don't want to offend anyone.
Let me just give the email address.
But I mean,
Ricky, let me just give the email address. I just said it, so look, talk over it.
Okay, I'm going to do Carl's top thing.
Ricky.gervais@xfm.co.uk. That's also the email address for your answers to this week's Songs of Phrase. Play it again, Carl, if you would.
Go on.
Tell me why, tell me why, tell me why. Play the game of swing.
We just want the artists, is that right?
Yeah, that'll do.
I've got two that you don't like. Not that you hate them, but that you sort of like don't agree with them. Would Liverpudlians be in your list?
Probably.
What about gay fellas in toilets looking at you?
Well, I think they've sorted that out. So
One of the prizes this week in Carl's goodie bag features this song. Play it, Carl. The Monkeys, Pleasant Valley Sunday.
God.
Monkeys, Pleasant Valley Sunday. Brilliant. XFM 104.9, Carl Pilkington.
This show is monkey heavy,
It
isn't
is
it?
indeed.
It is monkey heavy. Carl, if you were president, would you sort of make it compulsory to maybe have a little monkey? Everyone has a little monkey of their own. Little chimps out and out, old age pensioners.
it's not a bad little. It's funny, you know, because there was a story the other day when I was looking for monkey news. Right? There's a story about a couple who couldn't have any kids, right? There's something wrong with them, but they really wanted a kid. And they got some dodgy email address where they could buy a baby online, right? It was someone who would have a kid, and you could buy it for $3,000 or something, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, they got one, they got picked, and they're like, brilliant, there's the money. Got the baby and everything, they were loving it. You know, playing with it and stuff. As it got older,
Feeding it.
it got airier.
Oh, shut the oh, Carl!
Turned out they'd been sold a chimp.
You maniac. You stupid mank twat.
How on
Don't
earth?
talk shit. That is as if that, what?
didn't know it.
Oh, don't talk. Are you mental? You
I love the fact
stupid.
that didn't make it into monkey news.
I know, yeah. They
Well, it's a bit sad though, we don't like to bring the
bought,
feature down.
yeah.
But
And how
anyway,
long was this? It got hairy. They're born hairy!
no, it wasn't.
They're not born like humans then develop hair, because they go, hold on, we better get the chimp stuff kicking in now, because we're in the jungle.
School photograph, they were like, hang on a minute, it looks a bit weird. With all the
Oh,
other kids.
you are just
Mad, innit?
the rubbish. Mad, innit? Mad, innit? Mad, innit? Imagine, oh, God.
But
Just
anyway.
imagine if he was in charge. We did put him in charge of the country.
Terrifying.
Wouldn't it be amazing? Let him run the country.
Just for a week.
Or the mayor. What would you do if you were the president or the Lord Mayor of London or the Prime?
Prime Minister Carl.
I
don't
wouldn't
know.
do it like he's going to be offered it. It's a hypothetical question, Carl.
No, but Suzanne was, alright, my missus, if you're a new listener.
You keep her, sure.
Yeah, help her.
She was watching the news, trying to follow some heavy stuff. And I'm like,
The weather?
Do you know what I mean? I just was like bored and I was reading about that mouse that had an ear on its back and stuff like that. So she said, will you take notice of this? Should be, you know what Ricky and Steve are like. They try to teach you stuff and you don't even want to learn. So to try and get me interested in it, she was like saying, what would you do if you're president and stuff?
Yeah.
And I can't be doing with any of it.
What did you come up with? You must
What would
have.
your slogan be?
What did you come up with? Did you come up with anything?
I had a little, the design of it, right? I said I'd have like red and blue, to sort of, do you know what I mean? Both sort of major sides into one.
Yeah.
Take the best out of
Well,
both.
that's broken the back of it. That's a pretty good manifesto so far. Anything else? What's on the second page?
I had like, KP looks after me.
That would be the badges, would it?
Yeah.
That's good. I'm a KP nut.
Yeah.
Um,
KP looks
that's-
after me.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's about as far as I went with it.
What would you do? What about, policies, transport, crime, just law and order?
Yeah, how would you deal with crime? What would your initial approach be? Would you introduce guns? Should police carry guns?
Nah.
No.
Would I have to worry about that?
Okay.
you're
No,
the Prime
good point.
Minister.
Good point.
No, what I'm saying is that, Tony Blair isn't sorting everything out, is he?
No, but he has a say in most things.
Does he? Well, go on then. What are the problems at the moment that need sorting out?
Well, generally, what's the best way to combat? Would you bolster up the prison system? Would you introduce more community service?
Would you
put more bodies on the beat?
would you go harsher for say I don't know drugs? Would you go harsher or less harsh? There's pros and cons of
Higher or
both, isn't it? Because of course you can't see to condone it, but some people, you don't want to go through the court system and cost taxpayers thousands of pounds of money for someone, I don't know, the difference between smoking a spliff and dealing crack. Do you know what I mean? You have to all these things. Have I lost you?
Yeah, I'd just think about it for a bit. Do you know what I mean?
Brilliant.
You think about it for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably ask Suzanne. Do you know what I mean?
This is amazing.
Get her help on it.